We've only had one divisional cup and we already have so many new duos. Frodoxy and Chino splitting, Veno and Queasy splitting, Thomas has a new duo, Booga has a new duo. We have all the biggest teams on EU and NA splitting up, and I'm going to talk about who they're now playing with and why they split up. We also have to talk about the solo cash cup that just got played because it was an absolute movie. We had Peterbot and Clix going at it head to head, game after game. Pete was dropping 20, 30 bombs, started dropping on Clix. Clix beat Peterbot one game. It was one of the most fun solo cash cups I've ever watched. I want to show you all the best moments and recap all the action. Let's just get into it. Now, don't worry, we'll get to solos, but I know a lot of you guys are confused on what's going on with the new duos because we have so many after our first divisional cup. I was confused about whether we would see some duos switch up. Again, there's no FNCS this season, but these cash cups are a pretty big deal, and a lot of people are taking duos super seriously. I talked to a few pros that said, nah, I don't think we'll see that many swaps after one divisional cup. Boy, were they wrong. EU, we had the winning duo split up. So this all started with Veno. Now, a lot of us knew Veno and Queasy were probably going to split up. They've had a legendary history together. They're two of the greatest players in the game, but they've gone their separate ways, and they're two very different players when they last played together. Queasy was the hardcore IGL, Veno was the hardcore fragger. Now Veno's gone and IGL'd for a year. People knew it was going to cause a little bit of friction. Veno's used to making his own calls. He's used to not having to listen to someone, and he's used to playing with some pretty phenomenal fighters. Now, they didn't do bad in the Div Cup by any means, but it was always going to be whether those personalities would clash. I mean, if Queasy and Veno stuck together for the whole year, I have no doubt in my mind they would place extremely highly. They're both phenomenal. Veno can easily fall into that fragger role, but there was always going to be that friction. They're two big personalities as well, and all it took was one tournament for Veno to want to go back and get Chino. So Veno reached out to Chino, who won the Div Cup, by the way. Frodoxy and Chino literally won, and he convinced Chino to drop Frodoxy. So Chino and Veno is now a confirmed new duo. While this does sound a little bit crazy, I'm a little bit confused by it. You know, Chino and Fred, yes, they won the Div Cup. Yes, it's only a Div Cup, but Frodoxy's also IGO Chino to his best placements ever this year. They came second in grand finals, first in grand finals, and a lot of people saying they could have won globals if they were uncontested, which is something that Frodoxy doesn't really have any control over. So there's nothing really to fault Frodoxy as a player. Chino's main reasoning, I heard this from Frodoxy himself, is playstyle. He doesn't particularly like playing the way Frodoxy is, whether that's the way they fight. It's very, obviously very scrappy, very lurky. It's working, but I guess Chino thinks that maybe it might not work long term, or if the meta shifts, Frodoxy won't be able to evolve, whereas Veno, a very proven IGL in many different metas. And to be fair, Veno produces some phenomenal players. When players play with Veno, they leave at the end of it as better players. Veno develops great talent, so maybe Chino is more worried about that as well. But I mean, we can never speak to exactly what's going on in pros' minds. Maybe as much as it looked from the outside in, like Chino and Fred had great vibes, they get along really well, they play well together. Maybe Chino just wasn't feeling it. It's hard to judge. Veno is a phenomenal player. Almost any player would take the chance to play with him. It was just surprising after Chino and Frodoxy have been doing so well and have been for so long. But don't worry, Fred hasn't landed too bad of a teammate either. He's now picked up his other trio mate, Pablo. Pablo and Marius were doing together. They definitely had the firepower. We saw it in the Div Cup finals. They went 4-1 off spawn against Shark and Combeck's team. They didn't load into one of the games, so winning 4-1 off spawn is a great showing of fighting ability. But Pablo and Marius didn't really have the placements to back it up once they made it off spawn, which is always going to be the biggest concern. Pablo and Marius are not IGLs. Neither of them have ever IGL'd. They've started getting their best placements over this recent year. They don't have a lot of experience when it comes to competitive at a high level. It was always going to be a question of whether one of them could fill those shoes, and it looks like they've both agreed they can't. So we now have Frodoxy and Pablo. So what does that mean for Marius? Marius is now playing with none other than Sky, which, yes, means Sky and Scroll have now also split up despite doing very, very well and being a super accomplished duo with a lot of history. Sky and Marius, I think, is a phenomenal duo. It makes so much sense. Sky is an IGL, which is what Marius needs right now, but Sky and Scroll were looking really good. They made globals together 2 years ago in duos. They are, in my opinion, one of the best duos in the world. So I'm not really sure, again, what happened there, but we're seeing a lot of long-standing duos who are playing well still decide to split up at this point. So Sky and Marius, now a duo. I'm not sure who Scroll's playing with. I haven't heard too much about Scroll's new duo, but we now have to talk about who's Queasy playing with, because Queasy split with Veno. Surely he has a teammate backed up, and he does, none other than his globals duo, Thomas HD, the duo that almost took down Peterbot and Pollo. They're running it back. And Thomas talked about retirement, didn't make this most recent globals, was really, really close. But honestly, Thomas is still looking phenomenal right now. Queasy and Thomas ran it up on NA. They managed to make finals on NA. Thomas had some insane stats despite being on 150 ping. I think this duo could definitely work. So we've had some really big duo swaps on EU. We have another duo splitting up. Teeny and Haris, despite coming third in the Div Cup finals, have also agreed to split up. I don't know who they're playing with right now. They haven't really announced anyone they're playing with, which means first and third have already split up after the first Div Cup on EU. You probably thought I was about to start talking about solos, but no, it wouldn't be a Snakening without NA, and let's be real, it wouldn't be a Snakening without Booga. NA, we have a brand new duo on the block, Booga and Reet. Now, this doesn't surprise too many people based on Reet, Curve, and Booga and Craze's placements recently. They both underperformed in the most recent Div Cup finals. Booga Craze were looking really, really solid in the scrims. They were looking good. I had them picked to actually beat Acorn and Bolts off spawn, and it didn't go their way. They really struggled. They came like 48th in the first Div Cup. That is not a placement Booga is going to settle for. He has dropped Craze and picked up none other than the controller goat himself, Reet. Now, Reet has been playing with Curve recently, the double controller duo. They showed a lot of strength in the Eval Cup, winning one of the games, but in the Div Cup finals, they couldn't pull it together. It didn't work. It makes sense. Two of these players are phenomenal. They've played together in the past, I think, for like 12 hours. I think they were officially a team force. So let's hope Reet makes it further this time with Booga. We get to see them play a tournament. I'm excited to see how this duo plays out. A whole bunch of history. Phenomenal players who've been around for a long time. Both super motivated right now. I'd love to see them pop off. Reet is kind of stepping into the very big shoes of Mero. Booga now picking up what is the next closest to Mero when it comes to one of the greatest controller players of all time. Now, our last team on NA I want to talk about, Muzz has finally landed himself a duo, and it is Curve, who obviously is now looking for someone after being dropped by Reet. So those are all our major team swaps right now for duos. I'm sure there'll be some more, but I wanted to keep you guys updated on what's going on so far. Now, let's talk about solos. This most recent duo finals felt like a mini duo FNCS. This solo cash cup on NA felt like a mini solo FNCS. It was absolute cinema. Peterbot on his content streaming arc has been so incredibly fun to watch, especially because everything's felt like the storyline of Pete versus Clix, and in the solo cash cup, it happened yet again. Peterbot brought it home in first on 523 points. Mind you, first place last week was 382 points. And it wasn't just Peterbot that was firing on all cylinders. We managed to have 9 different teams get more points than what would have won the solo cash cup last week on NA. That shows you how insane this tournament was. Now remember, this is only gold requirement to play. It's not like a division, so it's not like duos where the points to win is going to go up and up because the players get easier and easier. It should be the same players playing this week as last week. It's just, I guess it's the Peterbot effect. When he shows up and starts playing good, it makes everyone elevate and have to push harder to catch up to him. When Peter's dropping the games that he was dropping, with getting 124 eliminations in 8 games, dropping a 31 elim win, a 20 elim win, an 18 elim second, a 25 elim win, a 23 elim ninth. When you're dropping games like that, everyone else has to step up, and a lot of them did. While Pete did win the tournament on 523 points, at one point about midway through, it was actually Clix in first place. Clix kicked off with a phenomenal tournament. Doesn't normally consider himself a solo player, normally doesn't have the mentality for it, but when Clix locks in, he has the ability for it. He almost got 4 wins on the day. He got a second place in his last game, which was so close to a win, still getting 3 wins, but it was once Peterbot showed up and started popping off that things started to again slow down for Clix. Now I want to show you what happened in the first game when we had Peterbot and Clix both in the same game going head to head. Clix on high ground, Peterbot running up low ground, because it was a movie. Whoever wins, their community will be insufferable. I mean, it's going to be regardless. Doesn't matter. Win or lose, it's going to happen. Nice. Good refresh for Clix. What? The Pete Clix 1v1. Come on. Only 6 alive. Pete's looking up. Pete's looking up. Clix with the good revolver damage, though. Pete gets pushed down. 9 builds. Clix down to... Oh, Clix has 26 left. Pete taking the fire in the mid-ground layer. 125. Pete needs that refresh. Clix might steal that kill from spraying from above. He's being pushed up. Pete can't phase in. Clix is now getting shots on him. Zero mass. He goes down. There's paper. Pete gets the refresh. Top 5 situation. Clix and Pete looking inevitable. Top 3. Wait a second. Clix on high ground. Pete gets the last kill. It's a 1v1. It's Clix versus Pete. 11 builds. Clix has every advantage, though. 4 HP. Clix wins it. Pete goes down. Clix drops down for the finish. Oh. Damn. And this set up the race in the tournament. We had Pete dropping crazy elims on low ground, but Clix playing really methodical, slow 4 down the high ground, securing the win. But Pete had his redemption. Pete, again, in another game, absolutely dominating low ground. Clix found himself on the high ground, but the tables turned a little bit when it came to the final 1v1. He's down to Siphon Mats. Needs to make something happen soon. He's got the weapons for it. Doesn't have the white heals, though. Needs to be careful. Slides his way in. Plays Shambles in front of him. That's Clix. No, same skin, but not Clix, bro. Wait, but Clix, 45 HP. Might not be far behind him. Clix gonna try and go for it. This is the Hail Mary. This is the high play. Needs to take it. Zero builds. 5 HP on the high ground. Has to tap the fizz, otherwise he'll go down to full damage. Oh, and he gets it. Clix in the clutch. Cool, calm, collected. Gets the med kits. Pete's on the low ground. Wait, we might have a Clix Pete 1v1 yet again. Pete down below. Top 5, top 4. Clix's favorite number. Both of them running out of mats, though. 6 builds left for Pete on the low ground. If he gets this refresh, it's only going to be Siphon mats, but it could be enough to keep him going. Has no shield either. We need a max pump. The slide coin's only going to get us so far. Zone's pulling up the mountain. Perfect for Clix, but Clix loses high ground. Clix loses high ground to drop down to where Pete is. It's Clix versus Pete on the low ground. Both shambles. Who's going to come around that corner? There's Pete. Flies around the corner. There's Pete. Flies in the box. And takes down Clix. It's a 1v1. Pete might be able to close out the 25 elim win. Of course, he's got to. Pete with the 25 elim win. Oh my God. At this point, after a 25 elimination win, taking down Clix at the very end, Pete had won the solo cash cup. He'd run away with it. And again, Clix didn't even manage to come second in the end because there were so many players showing up so big. We had Rapid again in second place on 455 points. We had Ritual in third on 451, Poyo in fourth on 442, and then Clix in fifth on 423. Like, look at that top 5 leaderboard. It is feeling like a solo FNCS. And again, that's only the top 5. We still had Chance up there, G-Money, Aiden, Muzz, so many other phenomenal players on NA. It made this tournament so exciting. And it wasn't just that as well. It wasn't just seeing the top of the leaderboard. We also got to see fights like this, where Peterbot went up against Ages. Both of them had medallions. Both of them had mythics and slurps, god loadouts, and we got to see who would come out on top in a tournament. It was cinema. Who is this?
Holy
An insane fight. They both had slurps going. They both got medallions. It's
Goongers! No! I'm getting third party like crazy and you're getting shit on like that.
I knew it was someone good. After this win by Peterbot, we now have our solo series leaderboard. If you guys don't know, the way this tournament's working is you have 6 weeks of qualifiers. It takes your best 4 weeks, and in those 4 weeks, your points are combined. And then the total 100 players who have the most points go through the final. So it's not just about winning. It's not just about placing. It is how many points you can get. So with Peterbot putting on this performance, he's now on 886 points in first. He has a 150-point lead over G-Money in second, who's also still doing phenomenal as well. So if you want to check how you guys are doing this, if you go in the compete tab and you go to the solo series leaderboard, you have the main leaderboard at the top and there is a solo series button. Click that one, switch it over, and you can see how you're ranking up and whether you're pushing for the top 100. But Peterbot has got a huge lead on NA. Taking a look at the EU leaderboard, a very familiar face if you pay attention to solos and EU, but maybe not a familiar face to you guys. We have Fishy, who I've been talking about recently, now just duoed up with Huddy. He is a player from the Czech Republic. Not too many notable players from the Czech Republic, but Fishy has been a phenomenal solo player for a while now. You probably watched my react video on him where he dropped over 40 eliminations in the opens when I had no idea who he was. He is now also the top of the solo series leaderboard points for EU as well. First place on EU is 769 points with Fishy. Kurama is in second on 762, showing just how much of a lead Peterbot is currently growing right now. We also had Panzer in second place, 392. Very phenomenal placement from a very underrated player. Panzer has been rising the ranks since playing Mr. Savage, really taking a lot of people's attention after a phenomenal land placement as well. Finnick rounding out the top 3 on 384 points. So while EU didn't really have the fireworks that NA did, it was still a really fun tournament to watch. I think once Mr. Savage is back streaming solos as well, that'll add a bit more spice too, because Savage at one point actually found himself in first place in the EU solo cash cup. Started really slow, brought it back, back and then started to fall off a little bit towards the end. Savage is still not streaming as he builds up the hype for his announcements, which if you've seen any of the tweets at this point, it's going to be one of the worst kept secrets. It has to be an icon skin. My man is promoting his creator code like nothing else. It feels like the Clix icon rollout, which I hope, if I'm wrong, I honestly don't even know what it could be at this point, but I feel like it just has to be an icon skin, but I'm still really excited to see what happens. The announcement should be tomorrow as of you guys seeing this video. If you take a look at Mr. Savage's Twitter, it's all the videos with all the clues and him building up to it, and I'm pretty confident about my pick here.